We are only counting days until our next election day, where we will be choosing who to be our next president running from 2024. However, Indonesian citizens have a concerning political awareness, which will affect the efficiency of this election process. I have a solution that aid people to have a better understanding and have a better sociopolitical awareness. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Alvin Nathaniel, and let me introduce Harmony Nation Citizens Unite. On 14 February 2024, we will be having our election day, where we will choose our president that is running for the next presidency. The result of the voting done in this day will affect how Indonesia runs for the next 5 years under the new president. Looking at past elections, there has been numerous problems where people have heated situations between different candidates, especially in the last two elections done in 2014 and 2019. There were only two people running, and this literally divides Indonesia into two different sections or groups, which one supports candidate A and another one supports candidate B. This results in a high tension between both groups, and they will literally try everything to have their candidates win.
Paslon 02 menolak semua hasil penghitungan suara Pilpres yang diumumkan oleh KPU pada tanggal 21 Mei 2019 dini hari tadi.
There are a few problems that I would like to highlight here, starting first with the relation of Indonesia and the democratic politics system. In Indonesia, we are living based on multiple ethnicities, religions, race, islands, and communities, and other stuffs. Also, we are running based on a democracy politics system, which means that every single person living in Indonesia is accounted, and we have to appreciate everyone's voice. However, this creates a condition where people will be grouping based on their communities, and this often creates a discriminating acts between communities if they happen to have a conflicting opinion. Next is how citizens in Indonesia have a low political education. Here is a data on a survey done by CNBC that shows who people are choosing for the next election. It shows that majority of people have already voted for someone. Meanwhile, only 23% are still the so-called swing voters, or that means that they haven't chosen anyone yet. They haven't settled for anyone yet. The problem here is that everyone is not choosing based on the quality of the candidate, rather they choose because they favor someone based on their characters, which is not entirely wrong, but quality is something important to consider here on who will we be choosing for our president. Why do I say this? Because we are only a couple months since the candidates run for presidency, and we still have 2 months until the election day is to be done. This means that there is still plenty of time for people to consider based on how the candidates act and how the candidates present themselves into the people, and they should choose who has the best vision, who has the best programs for Indonesia in the next 5 years, but rather they have already settled for someone, and which means they are not really considering the next 2 months of what the candidates are presenting themselves as important. Another problem here is that Indonesians are easily bought, especially in politics. We have seen these cases multiple times where they are bribed with only 50,000 rupiah or 100,000 rupiah of money, and people are often driven by false news, false rumors from the social media and other untrustworthy sources that turn us against each other. Next, with that data, I am concerned that people will make the wrong decision based on their corrupted background, since they are not choosing based on what the candidates have to offer for Indonesia, but rather on who they favor the most. The democracy system in Indonesia will not be run efficiently, and it will result in a bad democratic system, which means that who is elected, who is chosen, might not be the best for Indonesia. Some other people also does not care about the politics in Indonesia at all, and they just choose randomly, which adds up into the inefficiency of this political system. If we happen to choose the wrong president, we might end up in a bad presidency era. Looking at the past, multiple unfit presidents have happened to be chosen, and they have made controversial decisions that are highlighted by the world. Harmony Nation Citizens Unite is an open-world multiplayer online game where the goal of the game is to have Indonesia as a harmonic nation by having the citizens unite and participate together in the democratic process of election day. The target of this game is to have the players understand how their democratic actions will translate into real-world political decisions made in Indonesia. Players in this game will be acting as a journalist, and as a journalist you will be required to evaluate each candidate, whether they are a good or a bad candidate to run as the president. And when you start the game, you will be required to study each candidate. That's why you will be starting in a study room. In the study room, you will be provided with multiple medias to access all the required information that you need on each candidate to play in the game. For example, you can watch a television or read the newspaper or read the files of the history of each candidate in that room. The information that you gain from the room will be in the foundation of each candidate, and it will be the foundation of how you will evaluate each candidate. After you finish studying all the candidates, you get to exit the room and go into the open world game. In the open world game, you will be given 100 days before the election day comes. And in this 100 days, there will be multiple missions based on real Indonesian problems, real Indonesian stories that we have faced throughout our 78 years as a country. And we will be training each candidate and assisting them on solving that problem. For example, you will be training a candidate to visit a school that has been destroyed in Sumatra and where the students cannot study because the school is gone. And after each mission, you will have a different opinion on each candidate and based on their actions on that mission. And that's why you need to report to your office by evaluating how each candidate performed in a mission. This evaluation not only is a part of the game, but will also be your additional information on who to choose in the election day. On the span of 100 days until the election day, not only will you be doing missions on the open world map, but you will be also attending multiple debating events held between the candidates for them to advertise themselves as the best candidate to run for presidency. Also on this event, you will be seeing how the citizens are reacting towards candidates' actions done during the missions that you are training them with. Maybe the citizens will favor candidate A because they're doing real actions that are helping their community, or they resent a candidate because they're not helping at all and instead they're commenting mean words to them. Just an example. On this debating event, you'll be acting as a citizen and you'll be actively discussing with other players online on the qualities of each candidate. And after a series of missions and debating events, it is finally election day. On the election day, we'll be required with the other online players in the same game to vote who the best candidate to choose for. This voting obviously will be based on the data that you have gathered throughout the missions that you have done with each candidate. And after the vote has been done, the chosen candidate will be elected as president. And you will get to see how Indonesia turns under this new elected president. The growth of Indonesia will also be dynamically set by the character's growth of each candidate that has been chosen. So the future might be good or bad, and it depends on which candidate is voted. The epic win is to choose the right candidate that can bring Indonesia into a harmonic nation. There are multiple real-world lessons that we can pick up by playing this game. To name some, you get to learn how politics in Indonesia work. Probably you're playing this game as a citizen. That means that you're not actively playing on the insides of politics in Indonesia. You're only a watcher from the outside. But in this game, you're playing as a journalist and you're actively seeing how politics work in Indonesia. The next one is that you get to see how leaders from different backgrounds will affect how they choose their decisions, how they make their decisions as a leader. The third one is that this game is promoting a healthy social and political environment in Indonesia, and they are nudging everyone to have a better awareness on the social and political conditions in Indonesia. In conclusion, Harmony Nation Citizens Unite will be a great game for players to learn and understand how politics work in Indonesia. Thank you.